We're out here in Winter Park, Florida. We're touring some 1950s built homes. It's going to be very common in this area. A lot of old school style Florida stuff. This is a great place for first time home buyers. Winter Park's a really trendy area. But knowing I'm going into a 50s home, there are things that are on my radar to ensure that my buyer will have a very smooth and seamless transaction. I want to catch any issue that's going to hold them up from obtaining insurance. Whether that's a bad electric panel, bad plumbing, old roofs, and HVACs, we're here to discover all of that stuff. This home was built in '57. That's very common. This is old style Florida. This area has a lot of homes that are older, from older decades. There are things from those decades that would concern me, and I'm going into this showing saying, hey, what is the electric panel? What kind of plumbing does this home have? How old is the roof? How old is the HVAC? There's a lot of factors that could play into it. You know, a home built in the 50s, I'm worried about cast iron plumbing. I'm worried that if it had cast iron, they repiped in the 90s with poly. I'm worried about a Challenger or Federal Pacific electric panel. All of those things are just no-fly zones in real estate, especially if you're financing a loan to purchase the home. So come check it out. It still has popcorn ceilings. Probably a 50-50 shot that there's asbestos in that popcorn ceiling. You would have to obviously get an asbestos person out here to test that. Some people don't care. Also, any home built before '78 is going to need a lead-based paint disclosure because of the materials they painted with back in those earlier decades. Again, you would have to test that. It's within your right to test for lead. But we wouldn't be able to see that on showing. So obviously this home is very dated still. I'm going to check under the sinks for the plumbing. Right now, I just see like PEX PVC. I don't see any cast iron. It doesn't mean that the main lines are not cast iron. If they've replumbed the stuff up front, but they haven't done the main supply lines, that's not something we'd be able to tell unless we were up in the attic or something. Licensed insurance inspector would be able to tell us that. I don't know what this room is. I guess the laundry room is what it's looking like. Here's the electric panel. So it's a Bryant. But just because it says this, I'm still checking the breakers to make sure that they don't have any FP breakers in them. And I see Bryant breakers, so some of them are unlabeled. But again, a licensed insurance inspector would be able to further diagnose that. But from my eyes, it's checking out. This is a really old, this is probably an original panel. And it could have a lot of issues. I imagine an inspection of this home would yield some electrical issues. So in here, there's your HVAC and your water heater. It's got a Carrier HVAC. It was the second digits in the serial number of the year. This is a 2014 Carrier. This is the emergency float system. I'll pull that out and feel in there. If there's water in there, you know you need to flush the line. It's not being maintained. There's no water in there. The AC is running now. This is your water heater. I don't see a date on this water heater. It looks pretty old. It looks pretty nasty too. And you can see the plumbing. I'm going to the water heater to check the source of plumbing if I don't see it at the sink. That kind of looks like gray plumbing, but I can't be certain. It doesn't look like standard poly piping. This is PVC. It's old. Any water heater older than 20 years old is going to result in a much higher insurance premium. That's something that you're gonna have less insurance carrier options, and you're going to pay a significant premium on your insurance if that's older than 20 years old. I personally would go, if my client wanted to purchase this home, I would go in before putting in an offer, I would go in already letting the listing agent know our findings and pre-negotiate that gets settled. Water heaters cost like, I don't know, $1,000, $1,200 to replace. It's really not major. And if the buyer needs it for their insurance, then that's something that we're gonna tackle. I'm looking at the ceiling for water staining, any sign that could show that, you know, was there prior leaking? You know, how old is the roof? Is it in good condition? The bathroom in here is very dated. Now you can tell they've done some remodel work. They've replumbed. I bet this fan is super loud, although I don't even see a switch for the fan. So it doesn't work, which again could yield moldy bathroom. I check the water. I'll run the water and see under here if it's doing its job and not leaking. It looks fine. One thing I'm noticing as soon as I come in here, original windows. Those are very ancient windows. I mean, look at this thing. That's really old. Windows are not cheap. Probably to re-window this house, you're looking at $15,000 to $20,000. So that's something I tell people to look at these things going into it. Now this looks like is this a new window? So this window is not original. It feels like single pane. It doesn't have the newer technology that has it flipped. So yeah, these are all really old windows. And that's something I'm thinking about, especially if I'm a first-time home buyer. Because unless the windows show that they are just not holding up on inspection, they're leaking, you know, if you see water stains dripping down here, moisture, soft spots, that kind of thing near the window, that may indicate a leak. Now, if they show that they're still in good condition, the seller's most likely not going to replace the windows or give it credit. I've never seen a seller replace windows before. I've seen them fix caulking on windows, but never replace them because it's a very substantial purchase. But I'm thinking about those things before I'm going to make a purchase on a home. This is a bedroom. Not large at all. This is a very 50s style Florida home. This is really, I mean, look at this closet door. Tiny closet. I think this home is like 1,100 square feet. You've got another bedroom in here. Like, I don't even know what this stuff does. Like, this is so, I don't know what that is. Like, I'm too young to know what that is. Here's your other bathroom. This one has had some updates. Again, I don't see any bad plumbing, but we really don't know what's in the supply line. It's a pretty tiny home. Now they're asking close to 400. This is like 370, I think, 370,000. Again, you're thinking that's not that much. It's all about the location of this property. This is an ideal flip to be in a really hot location. You can either turn it into a rental. Hello. Now I come outside. Look, you can tell they used to have terrazzo floors. That's terrazzo. That's super 50s to 70s era, especially in Florida. They've clearly re-floored this. I bet an investor bought this or somebody just redid the floors and is trying to sell it. They would have been better off flipping the kitchen and the bathrooms on a budget. And this would probably sell much more quickly. You know, I think the things holding this back are the price, the fact that it's tiny and it's dated. But as far as the lot, it's a pretty good, nice lot. I'm looking at, now this is a brick house. That's not as normal in Florida. I'm looking at the soffits to see any damage on there. This wood, that's like plastic. It's not actually wood. This is wood. Now this looks a little wood rotted, and that could be something that comes up on a WDO inspection if you're buying VA. It's painted over, but it feels a little crumbly to me. And the siding, you know, the VA appraiser could definitely ding you up on that stuff.
What is this?
That may be for septic, the drain field, the septic tank. I'd have to look. This is probably on septic. So overall, I'm not seeing anything like wildly concerning. I'm gonna step back and look at the roof. The roof, I see spots, right? I'm seeing a lot of wear and tear on this roof. This is looking older than 10 years old to me. Now, if you don't show 5 years of life left on your 4-point inspection, you're not gonna be able to get insurance. Again, these are all things I'm looking at prior to writing any offers if I have an interested buyer, because I'm trying to play chess, not checkers, and foresee any of these issues that I don't want my buyer to get under contract and waste the money on inspections and then the seller not have the funds, or just we not be able to come together on some of these inspection issues that could hold my buyer up from obtaining their loan. So 10 to 15% of what a realtor does is open doors and show homes. It's a very important, look, it's the fun part, but it's the important part, because I'm here to save my buyers money, and that means foreseeing any issue that may come up throughout the transaction, but especially the inspection period. Why have your buyer go under contract, get all excited, spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, maybe even thousands of dollars on inspections, when we could see something with our eyes that could be an issue, and then I can pre-address that prior to negotiating the purchase price and the concessions and all of those things. Because once that money's gone, because an inspector is a third party hired by the buyer for them to do their due diligence. And once that money's in the inspector's hands and they've done the inspections, you're not getting that back. So if this is an issue, if something came up, say there was polybutylene pipes or cast iron pipes and my buyer can't get insurance and the seller doesn't have the money to fix it, they can't come to terms, well now my buyer just spent a lot of money on inspections and it's gone. So I'm trying to see all these things up front. We're playing chess, not checkers.